Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a great show planned for you tonight. The Experience, normally with Christian MacLeod, we'll have Brian Bowden on tonight, the man with 8,331 podcasts. Christian is sick tonight, so he cannot make it. He'll be back next month. But Brian Bowden graciously coming on in to take my harassment and questions all night long, and I love the guy. And we're going to have a fun show tonight. Robin Haynes will be in for hour 3 as well. But first, let's say hello to each and every one of you, including SJ in the gold medal position, T-Bone with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a bronze medal tonight as we continue on with our roll call right now. And let us say hello to Kitty Caddywhack. Let us say hello to Robert Lamoth. And let us say hello to Race Fan in 6th place. What's going on, Race Fan? T-Bone, my man, how are you, brother? Nice to have you here. Kurt M., nice to see you. Attorney at Large, Michael Morris, thank you for coming on in. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Brian literally says, hey, man, you know, I've had heart attacks too, so make sure, Mel, I'm lubed up just like you are. So, you know what? We're making fun of it, but you know what? When you survive something that scary and serious, you got to have a little bit of fun. Mel, we love you, and I hope you're healing just fine, my friend. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you. I love you. I do. How you doing tonight? I hope you enjoy tonight's show while you're kicking back, having a tea. Yes, she likes a nice tea while she's listening to this show. Lisa Smith, how are you? Necessary Dialogue, thanks for coming on in. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, good to see you tonight. Kathy Evans is here. Kathy Evans will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Andrew B., thank you for joining us. Just One Man, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And who is next? Skip to Malou, good morning to you. Luscious Jules and Road Flare, nice to see you both. As we continue on with our roll call, and who is next here? Well, let's scroll on down. And, of course, SJ is here again. Good to have you back, SJ. It's been a while. It really has. Hope you're doing well. And who is next? Well, it's United West End. How are you? Welcome back. And I like that goal. New Year's resolution. Watch every SOR episode in 2026 until I piss you off. Then you're gone. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Tina Smith, how are you? Operation Shutdown is back. Operation Shutdown will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Carol Amario, thank you for joining us. Deborah Rooney, how are you? Erica Watson, looking lovely tonight. Welcome to SOR Chat. Scrolling on down, who is next? Well, let us say hello next to Joanne B. Not Joanne. She's like a vitamin. I'm going to call her Joanne Vitamin B7. Joanne Vitamin B7 is here. Yeah, there she is. See, if you don't believe me, there's the name right there. Joanne Vitamin B7. Works for me. Pam Harris, nice to see you. Larry Bonds, the home run king, nice to have you back as we continue on with our roll call here. Let's see. Undead Jed, nice to have you here. Desert Rat, thanks for coming on in. Let's see. Eddie Avila, how are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Let's get the radio side going before I talk too much. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Brian Bowden, the man, the myth, and the podcast legend is with us. So let's continue on here as we say hello to Paramarv on our YouTube side. Lunch Money, welcome to SOR Chat. How are you? And let's see. That's right. Hal Putoff does call this Earth Paranormal Disneyland. It's so much fun. Flat Sixer, nice to see you. And we're running out of time here. We got like 20 seconds. Ryan C., nice to have you back. Nathan Q., how you doing? Nice to see you. Sorry, I got an itchy eye here. Algaray on Twitch just finished 4,347 of Brian's podcast to warm up for tonight's show. That's good. That's good. You're ready for it. All right, everybody. The super chat is open. Deborah Rooney, thank you very much. I'm going to get to all of that here momentarily. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what's really happening next. We're together. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show tonight. We're going to get into all sorts of monsters on the encounters. Brian Bowden filling in for the sick and ailing Christian MacLeod tonight. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller joins us for another spooky story. Robin Haynes will be here for the Cryptid Q&A, so make sure you get your questions ready for hour number 3. All right, let's get right to it. This guy is literally one of the top guests. I love talking to Brian. We bring him on a lot each and every year, not because he just fills in for people who are sick, but this guy is brilliant. He's an experiencer. He's a researcher. He's an author. He's a podcaster. He does absolutely everything trying to promote the fact that there are strange happenings going on in this world right now. Who is he? Well, Brian Bowden is a guy. He's just a regular guy. Unfortunately, he's a New York Rangers fan. I mean, everybody has their flaws. So, I mean, we got to give that one to him. However, what Brian tries to do is he tries to seek out the messages that are going on. Why is all these strange happenings happening? Why is it happening to us? Why is it happening to regular people like you and me? There really is no answer, but there is good people like Brian who are trying to seek it on out. Brian Bowden, welcome to SOR Chat once again. How are you?
I'm doing really, really great. I like Paramar's little known fact that Brian has 6 podcasts that explains 7 other podcasts or whatever. It was a great comment, Paramar.
Yeah, one of the running jokes with Brian for our radio audience is that, you know, he always has numerous podcasts going on. And many people have said maybe I exaggerate the number, but last I checked, it was around 7,286 podcasts going at once. So I don't know how you do it, my friend.
It's Chinese technology. I don't know. it's like a crypto mining in the room. That's why it's all blurred behind me. I wish that would be great. At least I get some kind of money from it, but I don't. Just have one right now. I'm on a couple of those shows, but those aren't mine. So they're different ones. But yeah, I'm still looking and seeking. And actually, lately, this is something that you say all the time, and I agree with. Kind of got into a little bit, not really an argument, but I was dealing with someone who was writing a dissertation after dissertation for an answer, because apparently they got a PhD or something to that effect, and it may be in animal behavior. And this is a relationship to cryptids. So they're trying to take whatever they learned in animal behavior and put it into this cryptid. And one of the things you're always very vocal about, and I agree with you, when people try to invoke science in relationship to what we do and what we're researching and investigating. And I do believe there's certain sectors of science. Physics is going to be one big one, audio, but I don't think you can take the current status of, let's say, a hyena that is known about, white papers, real study, and then put the same type of animal behavior of that hyena or a wolf or a monkey or whatever into these cryptids, like the Dogman, which has 7 different variants, and Bigfoot. I just don't see it. I think they're totally something that is, as far as we know and publicly, there is no real true science study on these cryptids. And I've had personal experience with them, and none of the animals that I've come across, even with wolves, and I know somebody who had a pet wolf. My brother's friend had a 99% wolf. I know how they act and how they go about things, totally different than what I've come up one-on-one with in some of my investigations. They don't act the way we've studied them. So I have a hard time when people try to invoke that. I don't know your impressions of it or even the audience's impressions of it, but it's really holier than thou type of mentality to think that if a gorilla does X, Y, and Z, then Bigfoot, which looks like one or whatever, is going to do the same thing. We don't have, there's no proof. And that's a really, people have to get that through their head. We lost a very important person in the science community that actually has some sort of bearing on this research, Dr. Meldrum. He's coming out, he's teaching on it, and he's taking a anthropology view of the footprints and dermal ridge and stuff. This is great, but all the other stuff, I just don't see it fitting in. You're trying to make something out of nothing.
You know what? There's such a great debate regarding all of these cryptid encounters, these cryptid creatures that we're having. And you're right. I don't think there is the proper science out there for it right now. I really do not, Brian. And it's unfortunate because I really believe that as we kind of move the ball forward, more and more people are getting involved with this. Okay. More and more people are, every day and every week there's new investigators, new YouTube channels, new Facebook pages, new podcasts regarding this. We're in that cycle again, much like we were when UAP came out for UFOs.
Yep,
and the New York Times article, and everybody and their dog all of a sudden had to have a podcast on it. And look, hey, that's everybody's prerogative. If you want to talk about it, that's what free speech is all about. It really is. And I think when we look at the monsters, you're right. There isn't enough university study, but do we really want that? I want to go back to where it was, man, where that's one thing I like about living in Canada. There's not a lot of researchers compared to the size of our provinces.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's not that I don't like science. I studied science. I studied physics and astronomy and engineering and some others, thinking about doing something. But I do have an interest in a lot of different types of science disciplines, but I'm not trying to invoke science in certain things. I will tell you that my study of physics, when I had an encounter in 2015 and something went for, this massive creature, Bigfoot, went from point A to point B, which is 2 miles in a split second. The only way you could do that is if you have the ability to open up a portal, step in and step out. Now, if you have that ability and the ability to do so, and then you look and listen to and read some of the other encounters that hunters have had, and outdoorsmen and women, where it seemed to disappear or the tracks just disappear, that would put a lot of physics into it, and quantum physics, just like Ron Moorhead. I mean, I remember when he came out with Quantum Bigfoot, I got him on, I'm talking to him, I'm like, holy, whatever. I've been writing this stuff down myself, and here's your book. And I mean, thank God for this. But these people that are in academia that don't have anything to base it on except for what has been, done throughout history. And I'm going to say something may anger people. I do not trust the scientific record at all anymore. I just don't. We over little by little, we're seeing that it's really guesses more so than true science. So how can you be coming from an academic standpoint, not really having an interaction with this thing, and just because it looks like a hyena or it looks like a wolf, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have the same characteristics. It's like all those people, the event happens, and the next thing you know, you have all these things on all the social media where they're taking some major event and putting it into like 40 different quatrains that Nostradamus penned how many hundreds of years ago. No, you can't do that. So it's frustrating.
Well, you know what, though? I think the one thing that we do have in this field, okay, is we have people who've seen things. And look, the community, I was reading an X post today on this, actually, about UFOs. And this person typed out, we're done with stories. We are done with stories. We want evidence. We want hardcore empirical evidence. You're not going to get it. People have to get it out of their brain that the government or the Smithsonian or any of the alphabet agencies or whoever are going to come out and say Bigfoot is real, Dogman is real, gremlins are real, Foo Fighters are real, UFOs are real, aliens are real, okay, unicorns are real, everything like that. They're not going to come out and say that. For whatever reason they have, they're not going to do it, especially UFOs and aliens. They're not going to do it. So when we sit here and say, and I want the proof as well. I do. But going on X or Facebook, and I don't mean to get on a diatribe here, but going on X or Facebook, or even going into a podcast channel or whatever, a YouTube channel, and chatting around, where's your proof? Where's your evidence? My evidence is my story. That's what I have. That's all we're going to get is stories.
Yeah.
And look, there may be people out there who catch a Bigfoot on camera. There may be people out there who get a good UFO on camera or a ghost photo.
Right.
Great. So put it out there. Right? Go for
100%. But you are totally correct about that. Now, in regards to these cryptids, let's go a little bit more cryptid on this end for just a split second. We do have some evidence. I personally believe that personal experience is just as valid evidence.
So do I.
as, something that's clinical or in lab. And you have to base it on the individual. Part of what we do as a research investigator, even with the extraterrestrials, abductees, we interview them. It's a long interview. There are a lot of personal questions there, and it gets involved into mental health. Are you taking certain medications, and so on and so forth, because some of this stuff does have an effect on the psyche. But when you have a physical cast and you're there, you see it. And I know in your area there's probably tons of them. Be it the try of a dogman, which is kind of a weird shape. I mean, to look at, it's not your typical foot, or a Bigfoot, or something that looks like a combination of a flipper with like a weird heel or something. That's physical proof. That is just as valid as you replicating something in the lab, especially if you get to the point where there's dermal ridges, like on the skin or what have you. Until we have the black projects finally get into the white paper end of it, and someone crosses over and says, I've been working on these cryptids for the last 20 years. We've been genetically splicing them, and I do believe governments have these. They've been playing around with, some people call them super soldiers. They're genetically trying to create something, or whatever their abilities are, and their ability to innately go from flesh and blood into interdimensional. A lot of people don't believe it. Someone I'm friendly with, Steve Coles, doesn't believe it. He's flesh and blood. He doesn't want to hear about woo. Well, then you're not a researcher. You have to take all of it into your mind and your research. Always keep them there, and then you'll have an experience. You're like, oh, that checked that one off. Like, maybe there is something to it. So,
but you know what? That is the problem with amateur science in our field. Okay, because the majority of the people investigating Bigfoot, Dogman, they haven't picked up a science book since their senior class in high school.
Exactly.
They haven't. Okay, so when they come in calling it a monkey, or calling it, an ape or Gigantopithecus or whatever, it's great that you have your own bias. Yeah. But science means you can have your opinion, but opinion is not science. So if there is woo attached, and this is the big problem that many people have with the BFRO, the Bigfoot Research Organization, because they will edit to get the woo out of their reports, allegedly.
Yep. But that woo is so important to the research. It is, I'm going to say it, it's critical to the research. The people that, I love going out with people that have, want the experience, heard about what you do, and like, hey, I want to see a Bigfoot, right? And I've talked to, we've gotten into a situation where they didn't see the Bigfoot, they saw a Dogman, and now they don't talk to me. Haven't talked to me for almost 2 years. But I love when a fresh perspective comes in, because 9 out of 10 times they deny it. Like, that was just an apparition. What'd you give me? You slipped me something. No, that is a 12-foot bipedal something that looks, has a Cro-Magnon, monkey human type of vibe to it. And they just can't wrap their mind around it, because it shouldn't exist. But I believe a lot more of these things should exist. I believe, unicorns should exist. I put, a lot of emphasis when we look at some of those old maps when we were growing up, those sea maps, and you got the mermaids, you got the sirens, you got dragons over here, and you got this and that, and you have multiple cultures drawing the same thing. These creatures existed at one point, but the big question is, what happened to them? Where did they go? You know, I mean, like, how did they get extinct? Was it the mud flood that everybody goes to? You know, Younger Dryas. Everybody's throwing Younger Dryas out like it's, oh, I got a Younger Dryas. It's like a headache. They use buzzwords, but they don't know the meanings behind it. But what happened to some of these things? Are we, another, get into the quantum side. Are we going in and out of different timelines or different dimensions? And we're phasing in and out. And then some of these things jump into ours, and some of them missing 411 are actually in another dimension going, well, what the heck just happened? We don't know yet, but that's why we're out there. You got, you go out, I go out. A lot of the people in the audience love to go out, and we're trying to find these things, but quantifying them until you have a physical Bigfoot in your possession won't last long. The minute it gets out, it's going to be gone like that. Until you have something like that, we're never going to know. We're just going to have to be those experiencers, right? Bigfoot phases here.
And the funny part about it is we have more evidence that if this was about a murder trial, we have more evidence to convict than most people going on trial for unaliving somebody.
Exactly. And you know what? Here's the problem too on this, and this is the weird thing. When people go missing, like the missing 411, or in the case of January 31st in Alabama, I'm going to throw it out there. I don't promote too much, is the vanished premiere in Paracon, Greg Ogle's Relic Film and Media. I'm going to be presenting on UFOs and mutilations, okay? Aliens, end of it. This is a totally different premiere. But when people go missing, there are people that go to jail because these people are missing and they still don't know. Just because they were in the area, or just because they knew something, like, yeah, I saw him in the woods. That's a prime suspect. One of my friends is he's a brother of mine, Carl Petrie, great psychic, very good friends with Rosemary Ellen Guiley. And one of his best friends was Ingo Swan. And I could hook you up with him too. He'd probably love to do the show. He's always stated, he goes, I know where a lot of people are, but I will never contact the police department because I know too much, because I'm a psychic, and they'll make me the number one suspect. That's when it gets scary, doesn't it? Right? So people go missing, you're in the woods, you're out at your area, and you bring a couple of new people, and one of them just disappears. Everybody that went out that day is a suspect now. Where'd you hide the body? Where'd you put it? It gets really, really weird. You got to go out with the right people.
Brian Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got about 90 seconds before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Brian, you love this field, though. You love everything about it. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of quirks. There's a lot of antagonists and protagonists in this field. Why do you continue doing it? Why do you continue looking for the answers?
I have questions that need answers. I want to know. My main goal, I think you may have asked me this. I really want that telepathic communication. I really want to. I want to experience that, and I want to be able to have somewhat of a conversation, like, how long have you been here? Give me some information, something like that, to answer some of my questions. Some people are very, very fortunate that they do have those interactions and experiences. But I also, what a great way to, why is everybody stuck here indoors on these little machines and they can't go any place without them? And the greatest place in the world is, I turn that stuff off and I only use some apps on the phone on airplane mode. Get out of your house, experience the world. No one's doing that anymore, and that's part of it too. I want to get out. I don't want to be cooped in. I don't want to be stuck someplace. And there's always a couple of great Bigfoot cases or sightings that pop up every once in a while. So I want to be one of the first ones out there.
Brian Bowden, from Third Eye Live YouTube channel and many other podcasts out there. He's a great friend of this show. He's a great friend of the monsters. And we're going to have more of Brian coming up right after this. All right, we're clear. Noticing a lot of first-time chatters in our chat room tonight. Welcome, man. That is absolutely great. So many names I don't recognize here tonight. And
Bigfoot Fades is great. You should go check her out. She does a lot of these Bigfoot fades. Our buddy BMR calls it Fidesz, but she's really, really fantastic. She's really into it. And I've seen a lot of names here. I haven't seen some of them in a while, and it's great to see all of you. So I'm saying hi to everybody. I can't do the our chat, but my computer decided to go belly up. Must be those aliens.
Well, that's wonderful. But I just want to remind, give me 2 seconds, Brian. I just want to remind all of our new listeners, we are a hybrid of a live radio show and a live YouTube channel. Okay, so for those of you who are tuning in wondering what the hell are these guys doing right now, we're on commercial break.
Yep.
Not for us on YouTube or anything like that, but we're on commercial break. So we got to time everything out. And once we do, everything gets all good. And we restart. That's what we do.
And these moments are great because some fun stuff happens.
Yeah. AJ, how you doing?
I think so, Marv. It is the government.
Paramarv is the government.
Yes, he is. I was just talking to a couple of people the other day.
If you go to my website, you'll have all of our affiliate radio stations on there.
I don't do affiliates. I was offered to go on some of those, like you're doing. And I'd love to, but then I can't say what I want to say and just,
You're playing with your chest hair.
I am. What can I tell you? My psoriasis is acting up because I'm stressed.
Oh, man. You're getting fat nuts in the chat room all excited.
Going on, T-Bone and Fades and Truth Seeker. You guys are great. Carl's there. Look at that. Nathan's there. You got a lot of people. I've seen a lot of new people. Good thing.
Yeah, if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. Yeah. Every time you ring that bell. And by the way, if you are here and have been a subscriber, check your subscription or on our channel, because YouTube sometimes has one of those issues where they will take the notification button off. And Terry Hall, who's part of my team, he's like, Dave, I usually get a ring. And then all of a sudden my bell didn't go off that the show had been posted. He goes, it always does. And he goes, when I went and checked my notifications, the bell was off. So make sure you check that. Thank you, Ray, for the follow on X. We appreciate that.
Cool. Mel, you're going to be great. Don't worry about it. I feel like
Unknown, how you doing?
Young.
Erica Stover, nice to see you. We got about a minute and a half, brother.
I'm good. I'm just eating these punchy cluster nerds at this point.
Happy New Year, Kimberly Burgess. She's a sweetheart. Kimberly, don't forget to get your tickets for CaribouCon, September 18th through 20th. Grant Cameron will be there. Samantha Mowat will be there. Merle will be there. I will be there. The Beyond the Haunting Ladies television show will be there. Christian MacLeod will be there.
Awesome.
B. Arthur, otherwise known as Brent Thomas, will be there.
Brent's going to be there?
Yeah. Paisley Town numerologist will be there. R. Keith Andrews will be there. You got to get your VIP tickets. And remember, if you're coming from the U.S., they're in Canadian funds, which means that you're going to save a lot of money.
I have a whole boatload of living outside. So good.
Thank you tonight to Ben, to Debaruni, to Mel WD40, to Pam Harris, and T-Bone for 10 memberships. Appreciate that. Much love to you all. Here we go with the second half hour. We're into the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We're talking monsters tonight with Brian Bowden. My name is Dave Scott. We love it when you are here. We love it when you tune us in. And we love it when you wear a little bit of tinfoil when nobody is around. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We add a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam, well, we'll get to the password next half hour. How about that? Brian Bowden is here. Third Eye Live is his YouTube channel. He's an author. He's a researcher. He's an experiencer of the unknown. And we love it when he is here. Brian, thank you so much for coming on in.
Well, I'm always here for you, buddy. So whenever you need me.
What color of hair balm or coloring do you use on your beard? This is what I want to know.
I got a lot of gray right now. So I forgot what it is. There's this, I know you got it. I forgot the name of it, but I put it in. It's made with like vegetables or plants, so it's not like harsh on the face, and it lasts for a while. So
be honest, that's about 6 packs of Just for Men, isn't it?
No, this is something with an S. I forgot. You see it, I saw it on the social media place like Instagram and something like that, and I just tried it and it worked really, really well. This is just makes you, this is a problem when you go someplace and they're like, okay, come on, pops, back up, don't call me pop.
I hear you. I hear you, brother.
I have 2 daughters.
I want to talk about a story that's kind of the last 2-3 months has really taken off. It hasn't been Bigfoot. It hasn't been Dogman, although close to Dogman. Werewolves.
Yeah.
Where have all of these werewolf sightings all of a sudden come from? It's like all of a sudden people aren't seeing Dogman anymore. They're not seeing Sasquatch. They're having werewolf experiences. Now,
here's the thing. Werewolves is it's a creation of Hollywood, or real. Basically, it's a human being that transforms into what a dogman looks like for the most part. The only thing I know that can transform and into something is skinwalkers, with the exception of these interdimensional beings or the jinn, who can change into whatever they want to change into. So I'm trying to figure out, are these people just having an experience where this creature is that they're seeing is appearing, right? It's an innate ability to go into flesh and blood, and they see something like materialize, or is this like your classical werewolf, like American Werewolf in London? I don't know, but it has been really, really big lately. Did somebody just decide, let's change the narrative to werewolves so they can promote a movie? I don't know. It's bizarre. What is your take on it?
I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. That's why I ask you the tough questions,
Well,
right?
I just
But seriously, I know where I started noticing it was in October. Okay.
okay.
Where late September, early October, I started, reading online, many people starting to have these werewolf sightings. And it was just simple. Has anybody seen a werewolf? You know? And a lot of people were like, well, Dogman or something like that. He goes, no, I know what a Dogman looks like. Has anybody seen a werewolf? And then a friend of mine who is going to be joining my team, investigative, she actually goes to an area that's haunted. I've never been there. I want her to take it to me. And apparently there have been people encountering a werewolf up there.
But okay, here's where my problem is. Are they seeing something that looks like a werewolf, which is usually shorter ears, it's
Yeah.
okay, versus like a dogman or a different type of dogman? Is this a new classification of dogman? Or are they actually physically seeing someone that looks like a human being transforming into it? Now, they could be seeing the skinwalker, because a lot of the skinwalkers transform into wolves. That's what I'm thinking. It's more skinwalker based than werewolf based. And I've seen a video of, and again, this is the problem with the AI stuff, because you don't know what's real and what's not anymore at this point. But a wolf, it looked like a dog. It came running into frame. It was at night, south of the border. I don't know what part of South America. And the next thing you know, it literally changed in front of the camera, whatever that camera was on the store, and it became a human being or a bipedal dog, and then went into almost like a flesh and blood. So this is where my issue is. And are these sightings happening close to indigenous population zones? I don't want to say but reservations, or a high concentration of individuals like that. I don't
It
know.
could be
the problem.
But you are right. If you're not seeing the thing transform, from say human to animal, how do we know what it is? But I also do know that my area has had, strange sightings over the years. My area is a very indigenous area, and indigenous people have had encounters with the Dogman here. They've had encounters with Sasquatch and little people. Never in my area Wendigo or Skinwalker, but that doesn't mean that they aren't here, Brian. These creatures seem to be morphing into new areas all the time.
It doesn't mean that they're not there. I mean, they could very well be there. Just saying that when you get into something that's transforming, the first thing I go to is a skinwalker. And they usually transform into, first and foremost, a really, really big dark wolf with shorter ears. Compared to, if you look at the 7 variants of Dogman that have been out for whatever, decade plus, some of them look like German, like wolves, like German shepherds or whatever. Some of them look like extreme. And I always use the movie Van Helsing because they did a pretty good job at what these werewolves in there were, but that's what a Dogman soldier looks like. This could just very well be, it could be a hybrid of a hybrid. I think, it could be something new in the Dogman line. But I'm having a problem with the werewolf as the title, because that's really more Hollywood. You understand what I'm saying?
I fully, completely understand with what you're saying. I mean, to me, in our area where I live, in SOR headquarters is, I could see it being more of a transformative creature, maybe from a skinwalker. I could see that happening, right? And I did not know that they usually do transform into wolves first, right?
First and foremost. Yep. And then they go into some kind of, sometimes they become like crows or hawks. It's very bizarre. That whole subject matter is dark and not really for public radio.
Okay, so should it be, are we getting hung up on the word werewolf because it's catchy, it's scary, it's Hollywood? Or are we looking at a dogman, but maybe a different species that is smaller, more unique and spreading out there?
It's a designer dogman. It's kind of like the Labradoodles, It's the Labradoodle of dogman. It could be a skinwalker. It could be a new hybrid of the dogman or something. It could be the jinn acting this way, in that area, trying to scare people away. They don't like humans to begin with, and they do transform. They've been known to transform. Mimics, you name it. Or could this be something kind of like, the creepy crawlers or the rakes? Usually those were like creepy pasta based type of stuff where did we create this ourselves by, what I say I create? That's abracadabra, by the way. If you ever hear them say abracadabra. Oh, someone said they can't hear me very well, so I'll turn up my microphone. So are we having some other cryptid coming in or something new coming in, an interdimensional being that is changing themselves as well? This is where I would have to be in a location with, your friend that says werewolf and see it and go, okay, this thing changed and transformed in front of us into a werewolf. There are stories of werewolves, mostly out of Europe, by the way, Germany and German-based nations. Some of the first werewolf stories in this country have taken place in Pennsylvania Dutch. A lot of Germans came over here and they ended up in the PA area. And there have been stories and eyewitnesses in public record about some strange bipedal tracks that look like wolf tracks with the story of a werewolf. It's something transforming. There's also a story, I forgot exactly how it goes, but there was someone living in some stranger living in a cabin in the woods, by themselves, a loner type. And there were certain attacks that took place and someone kind of damaged this creature that looked like a wolf or a werewolf, poked it in the eye. And when people went up on and asking the loner out in the woods, has he seen anything? He had an eye patch on, your atypical story. But I'd have to see it in person to actually, understand what the concept is. I think they're misinterpreting it, or they're people trying to change the narrative and jump on something new and be the first ones to talk about it. And you said on my show when we're doing the predictions for 2026, when Steven Spielberg's movie come out and all the clicking stuff comes up, you're 100% right. There's going to be people. I heard clicking in the woods. It's just going to happen. I think people are very influenced by stuff they're seeing on social media and some of this new AI stuff that you can't tell if it's real or fake. That's just my 2 cents on that.
No,
Could very well be AI.
I totally get that. Get that. I want to see things, advance just like everybody else. But I wonder too, not to dwell on the name aspect of it all.
Yeah.
But I wonder too if we are just looking at people who may not know what a dogman is. Maybe they've never heard of a dogman, and that's what they're relaying it to because they know what a werewolf is.
Yeah. I mean, that's the misinterpretation of something that you've never seen or heard before. You know, I talk about Dogman was some people, they find out that I do what I do, and they ask me these crazy questions. And I said, well, have you ever heard of the Dogman? And they're like, what is the Dogman? They think it's some cute, cutesy thing, or think there's a book called Dogman, which is like a comic or whatever. It's totally different. I said, well, it's a 12, anywhere from 6 feet to over to 15 feet, whatever, werewolf, to give a kind of a visual of what they look like. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, Rougarou, people know about that in Louisiana. And some people believe Rougarous are transformers as well. They can transform from, it's almost like kind of like the Skinwalker stuff, where they've done something and they're cursed. And then, every time there's a full moon, these things, change into whatever. But I don't know. I have no idea, but I want to see one. I'll tell you that. You know that.
No, I get you. I get you. For people who may be listening in for the first time and
Sure.
not know what a Dogman is, give us an explanation of that.
So most people know what a Bigfoot is, which is a bipedal, hairy monkey or primate. That's part, it seems to be part man or part primate. The same thing with the Dogman is it's bipedal, but it has a wolf quality to it or a canine quality to it. Think Anubis. Some of them have the pointy ears, they're dark, big snout. And then you have different variants. So some look like a hyena, more hyena based. Some look more baboon based. Some look more like really big wolves or coy wolves. And then there's some that look a little more Bigfooty than anything else. So that's what it is. It's almost the dog version or the canine version of what a Bigfoot would be, for the most part. Those are most of the ones I've seen. I haven't seen the other ones as much.
When I first got into this show, okay, I learned about the Dogman because of Linda Godfrey and the Beast of Bray Road. God bless her soul.
Yeah.
Okay. And she passed away a couple of years now and left a big hole in the field of research.
Oh, yes, she did.
At that point, people were only seeing the Dogman. This is only going back about 8-9 years. Okay. People were really only seeing the Dogman in Wisconsin, in Indiana, in Michigan. And then all of a sudden it spread all over the place like wildfire.
Well, yeah, no, that definitely has happened. It's really interesting. If you have Bigfoot in the area, you have Dogman in the area. And then if you have Dogman in the area, there's a really good chance you have rakes or creepy crawlers, depending on what part of the country you're in. And I think what happens is I don't think they just stay in one area. I think they actually do a huge, almost a migration, and they move and they move and they move. It's almost like a clock. Like if I'm at the 1 o'clock and you're at the 7, Dave, I'm moving every March to the 3 o'clock and you're moving up to 9. It's almost like that kind of mentality. And I think some things come in and some things go out. And I do believe that what happens with, and this is with Bigfoots as well, when they procreate after a certain point, the clan goes elsewhere and the young stay there to meet the mate, and make a mate in that capacity with the next group that comes in. And then they drop their, male or female off, and then the procreation starts. And they build their own clan. So that's why they may be seen at a lot of places, but there are Native American stories about wolf-like wolfmen or whatever, kind of like Bigfoot's the forest, whatever, that's what they call him. He's the king of the forest. There's others that talk about a really large wolf with the head of a wolf. You even see it in some of the indigenous throughout the globe when they do powwows and some other ceremonies. Some of them wearing wolf heads, and it's not like a regular wolf. It's not like where the gray wolf or the coy wolf, whatever. This is supposedly something that transforms or is a creature that is literally there.
4.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Brian Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking werewolves, dogmen, you name it. We're getting into the monsters. The territories that these are being seen in, people claim that these dogmen are very, very vicious. They are very, trite in their attitude.
Yeah. I've had a few encounters. The close-up ones, one was just sitting there, didn't move. It eventually moved, but it did in one fluid motion. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Almost like it fell in on itself, and then it became like this long black shadow. And another one was younger, 20 yards away from us. Excuse me. And that one, I think we caught by surprise. It wasn't, we weren't supposed to intersect, and it may have been alone, and it showed its teeth, and it was rather hideous looking, very grotesque in the face, bumps and like a deformed dog man. But it had huge canines, and it was like the rumble or the growl it was giving, you could feel that in your chest. These things are really smart. They play games with people. They ring your doorbell. They'll scratch on the porch. They'll try to jiggle your door handle. I think they're very much aware of how hideous they look. And for some reason, they enjoy, and I think that they feel or consume some of that fear. Kind of like the shadow people. There's something to, I don't know, there's a scent of fear. We know it. Dogs do it all the time. They can smell something's not right with somebody, and they can smell fear in somebody, and they're like, why are you fearing, with me? So that's why they may do what they do. They really are, kind of messed up as a cryptid. Bigfoot doesn't do a quarter of the things that a dogman does. So maybe they're the redheaded stepchild of the dogman clan.
I want to get into some stories here because I know you hear stories from all over North America, and our audience absolutely loves hearing stories. We're going to try and get to some audience questions in hour 2 as well. But just overall, with 2 minutes to go here before we have to go to break, if somebody is approached by one of these creatures, say you're out for a walk with your dog or out on a hike or trying to get to that secret fishing hole and something happens, what do you do?
Never turn your back to any type of predator. They'll pounce on you in a heartbeat. I would go the other direction, but slow walk away from them. It depends. If they're being very aggressive to you and kind of surrounding you and blocking you from moving, that's when you would get nervous. That's a fight or flight type of response. But a lot of them, they know for some reason that if they start messing around with human beings, it's going to bring down, like the hell on earth for them, because there are groups, agencies within our government know what these things are, and I've talked to a couple of people that say, I protect bases and military operations around the globe, as well as certain parks, from these cryptids. And I was like, can you come on a show and say it? Like, so I would back away slowly. And I'm a dog guy. I don't mind cats. I'm allergic to them, but I have a dog. I mean, I'm not leaving my dog to sacrifice my dog to the dog man, but I would back away from it. Get to your car and get out of Dodge.
Right. You got to be safe, though. You have to make sure you have safety. And when in doubt, bring tennis balls. You never know. A dog man may want to play fetch, Brian.
And Scooby's next.
I wonder if they would go for that.
They may. I mean, like I've always thought of them as very aggressive, but there are a lot of different stories where they're not being aggressive. I don't know. So I think the fact that the creepy crawlers are now.
Let's hold that. Brian Bowden, we got him for one more hour on Spaced Out Radio. More monster talk after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy, we are clear. I'm going to just put you in the green room. We're going to go for a break, okay?
The time on the break. 3 minutes? 2 minutes?
About 5.5.
Cool.
All right.
Got it,
Be right
brother.
back, everybody. Oh, yeah. There you go. All right. Let us bring Brian back in. Thank you for waiting, guys. Appreciate you. Anybody new jump in? Oh, excuse me. Jump in. Oh, there's Les Paul Holland strumming away. Probably cleaning his Les Pauls right now. How you doing, Brian?
On again.
All right, I'll mute you here for a second. Way to go, Tim Mothman and his goatee. Thank you tonight to our super chatters, Ben, Debaruni, Mel WD40, and Pam. Thank you to T-Bone for gifting 10 memberships already tonight. Wow. T-Bone, you are amazing. Thank you for that. And remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Go to spacedoutradio.com. Check it on out. It works.
You got really nice swag.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Here we go, everyone. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gardyloo. Gardyloo is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in our guest, our good friend Brian Bowden. He is an experiencer, researcher, and an all-round good guy. Just an all-round good guy. Brian, thank you so much for talking monsters with us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I live with a couple of them. Yeah, it's fun stuff. People don't realize, like, they think it's a joke until they have an experience. And then they go, you actually go look for those things? And I'm like, yeah, we do. I don't go solo. There's too many times where you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So it's always good to go with somebody out in the field. But yeah, fun.
Well, that brings up an interesting concept because, I know people even around my town, when they see me, they're like, man, I can't believe how you go out in the forest and look for these stupid things. Like, what are you dumb? Are you stupid? Are you on a death wish? But that is the attitude people have.
It's, I've gone out by myself. I limit the nighttime solos to where someone will be in the campsite and then the rest go out on, investigating a trail or something like that. That's something different because you have at least people within a certain radius. But the daytime stuff I do a lot. I think the reason why you probably go out just like I go out is sometimes if it's about intention. And if you don't have the right intention, you're not going to have an experience. So you got to go out there and literally have the intention. And I always said it, I was talking about, I do something called active intelligent encounters, and it starts with your intention. You want to have an encounter with something, extraterrestrials, ET, Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever it is. You have to go out there and send it out mentally through your consciousness and do a meditation saying, I'm going out to this park, this area. I'd like to have an interaction, but I don't want to be harmed and I don't want you to be harmed. And when you send it out that way and you have positive intentions, the interactions are usually pretty good, not many issues. But if you go out with somebody that doesn't have that interaction or doesn't take it serious and jokes around, come on, dog man, and making jokes, they're not going to waste their time with someone like that. That's where things get dangerous and could be life threatening. Because when they have that interaction, and if they carry with them or whatever they're allowed to have, you know, the pointy sticks, that can get you into a lot of trouble. So, but yeah, I've got that. Why would you do that? That's crazy. How big is it? You know, I'm like, yeah. And you tell them what they can do. Just had a story about a Bigfoot literally ripping apart, literally just, you know, they came up, they were in the woods and was deer season, ripped the head of a deer. Something I heard recently, if you're talking about stories, which, and I don't remember where I heard it, but guys going hunting, and this guy is an outdoorsman his entire life, even as a child. Went out with the family, goes to a spot, is in a tree blind, and he sees this, you know, 10-pointer or 8-pointer. He's like, this one's mine. And he's, you know, getting ready. He's probably 12 feet up in the air, 15 feet up in the air, and he's getting ready to sight it. And he hears this noise coming, and the deer is reacting. It kind of like freezes for a minute. You know, they don't want to get caught in something. And he literally, he looks to his left side, I believe it is, and staring at him, he's scared out of his gourd, is a dog man about 12 feet tall, looking right at him. Now, all these we just talked about how dogmen can be very aggressive, or they know how scary they are. And he points over to the deer, and the dogman was watching him the whole entire time he was in the tree stand. So the guy lifts up he has his rifle out, and he takes the deer and he pops it. And then the dogman walks over and steals his deer and just goes out of the way. And
there was another famous story similar to that, where I believe it happened somewhere in the South, where a guy was hog hunting. And apparently this guy was, you know, in the United States Air Force. He was up at his deer stand, his tree stand. And as he's lining up, he'd baited the ground, and he was trying to, you know, bring in the hogs. The hogs finally come in, start eating the corn on the ground. And he sees something move out of the corner of his eye as he's watching. And he thinks it's another hunter coming in, maybe in a ghillie suit. And then all of a sudden, apparently this guy watched this Bigfoot grab this 300-pound hog, pick it up, slam its head against a tree, offing it instantly, and then throws it over the shoulder. And then the Sasquatch turns and looks at him up in the tree and gives a growling roar, which scared him. But what scared him even more was that right behind him, about 20, 30 feet, there was another Sasquatch that was roaring back. And apparently this guy sat in that tree stand for about another 4 to 6 hours before he would come down, because he wasn't sure if he was going to be the next meal.
Oh yeah. I mean, these are very brazen cryptids, especially if they're hungry, and they don't like hunters. You're messing with their food. Kind of like getting, I guess, food in the supermarket. I've seen people fight over food in the supermarket because it's priced at a certain price, whatever it is. A little bit of a weird analogy, but they know the capabilities of these hunters. They know what the pointy sticks can do. And in general, they usually stay away from them. But if they're hungry and you just, bait in an area, I don't have to do my work anymore. I'm going to go take you food. That's a given. I have a buddy that has, I think it's 40 acres north of where I am. And he owns an outdoors store, a lot of pointy sticks. and he has those trail cameras that take pictures, you know, the cell phone trail cams. And he's seen something. He showed me a picture of something, and it was really, really blurry. It was almost as if he caught it, you know, as it was going through frame or whatever it is. And he goes, "What is it?" And it had the pointing of the ears. And I said, "How high up is your camera?" He goes, "Oh, we usually put them, you know, about 8-9 feet up. We take a little step ladder there, and we hang them up there so no one can steal them, you know, because sometimes they have poachers come on." And I go, "So, in relationship to that tree that's right in front over there, you know," he goes, "Oh, that's, you know, this thing is at least about 9 feet tall." And I said, "Okay, you just caught a dogman." But it was one of those blob things. And then he goes, what are these? Because I got this in the middle of the night, and I'm trying to get a copy of this photo. It is about 5 rakes standing, and there's a pig in front. He has a lot of hogs up there. They do a lot of hog shoots. And I'm going, "That's interesting. Those are rakes." He's like, "What's a rake?" I said, "Well, down south, they'll call them creepy crawlers. And they're really, really aggressive. And they like flesh. And that hog probably didn't make it out."
Explain to people what a rake looks like.
It's all white. It's kind of tall and slender. Some people see them as all pale. And their arms are a bit longer, and it's almost as if they have like a sword at the end of their arms. I'm going to, you know, I don't want to show it, but I have a letter opener that looks like a sword. And it kind of goes to a point like this at the end of the arms. And the way they walk, they almost walk on all fours, but exaggerated, almost as if they were like they had stilts on the front of their arms. They're very pale. And here's something that's very interesting. Sometimes people see them as all white, but they don't really see a face. It almost as if you put spandex or whatever those, you know, they make those leggings out of, and you pulled it over your face. But it kind of adhered where the eyes would be and the mouth would be. Kind of looks like there's facial features, but you can't see any details. And they do come out a lot at night. And when they come out at night, here's the cool thing. They have this ability to appear gray, very dark gray, or to absorb the light and almost be like charcoal color. And they mimic. And sometimes they come out of portals. People have seen them coming out of a portal appearing. They see orbs coming down. And then the next thing you know, the orb goes up a little bit, probably about 6 feet in the air, and a portal appears. And these things start piling out of that portal. And their main objective is your flesh. They love flesh and the blood and what have you. So that's what they are. They're very aggressive. And as I said before, if you have Bigfoot, you're pretty much going to have a dogman in the area. There'll be something to separate them. But if you have dogmen, you're going to have rakes, definitely. There's a new connection with those. And those are being, just like the werewolf we were talking about before, rakes or creepy crawlers, if you're down south, same thing. There's been more and more of those sightings lately than even the dogman sighting. So something's going on. I don't know if they're coming interdimensionally or, you know, what CERN's been up to. Because I think CERN plays around and then messes around with dimensions, but that's a totally different, you know, subject. And I think they create cracks in our timelines, and, you know, and these cracks are like anything else. If you broke your mother's, you know, teapot and you try to glue it together, it may look like it's like glued together, but if you really shone a flashlight through it, you see all the little cracks, and these things see these cracks in these timelines from a different dimension. They go, "What's that?" And they crawl through. But they're very, very aggressive. Great story. I heard not that long ago. I think you've had Tex on, Tex Wesson, Texas Fringe 40, great guy. He does a lot of research at a ranch they call Dogman Ranch. I believe the ranch has been in the family for a long, long time. I don't know if he's told this, but I'll repeat it. But the owner of the ranch, he was telling me like that the family's had this property for hundreds of years, generation after generation after generation. It's a big piece of property. I've actually remote viewed it, and I hit on all the little characteristics of it. And there are dogmen on there, there are rakes on there, there are Bigfoot on there. And there's some Indian burial grounds. But he goes, we're living in this cabin. I was 13, and I used to have this thing come up to my window and scratch on his window screen, and tell him to come out. You make these really weird sounds that mimicked his sound, his brother's sound, his father's sound, his mother. It sounded like them. Very big mimics. So he was turning 13, and he had it come out, come up to his window, and it woke him up, and he's scratching at it. And he's looking at it, and he says, "I've had enough." And his dad has a Mini 14. It's loaded with about 200 plus rounds in it. You're in the middle of the country, so you're going to have some kind of pointy sticks. And he says, "I'm getting rid of this thing." And he goes, "Okay." And he goes out, grabs it. This is like at 1 a.m, comes out of the house, turns to that side where his window is, and he opens fire point blank at this thing. And he puts 400 rounds in it, and it runs away. And as it's running, he's doing it too. His dad comes out super upset. Like, "What the hell are you doing?" Yelling at him. And he explained to him, this is like, he goes, "Dude, this is the thing I've been telling you about. It was at the window. I had enough. So I went out and I took care of it. And I took it out." And his father, "You did?" I said, "Yeah." And he went over to where the window is, and there is this blackish liquid on the ground. He goes, "I shot this thing right in the head, boom." And I unloaded all of it. And it ran down to a certain point on the property, and they followed a blood trail, which was actually more black ink-ish than blood. And he goes, "Dad, I swear this thing was lying here before you got out of this house. It was right there." And it just disappeared. So the weird thing about these rakes and these creepy crawlers, I don't know if they can be taken out. I mean, I know someone who has taken on the rakes. They were in LBL, Land Between the Lakes, and a portal opened up. They were filming for some stuff. Portal opens up, and these things come out, and they're very aggressive, and they're coming towards this woman I know and another gentleman, and she only has bear spray. That's all she carries. And she points it at the cryptid, and it sprays about 25 feet. So she's spraying at it, and she says that, the person she was with, first time he ever drew his weapon on anything. And he's pointing at it, and she's taking care of it with bear spray. And apparently the bear spray really turned it around. They ran the other direction, and then they disappeared into the dark. But that's what these creepy crawlers are doing. It's crazy what they can do.
I like how you call them creepy crawlers. That's just creepy. So creepy.
It's just, yeah, well, that's, I got that from text. I just call them rakes up here, but I like creepy crawlers because it sounds great,
All right, let's get to a question from our audience here.
Sure.
Miss DJ is asking, since there seem to be many more strange things going on the last few years, cryptids, UFOs, etc., could it be because we've truly shifted Earth dimensions or in a parallel Earth?
Well, according to the people back in the year 2000, we don't exist anymore. There are a lot of people that think that the Earth ended and we are just drifting off into a different timeline. I don't know. I don't think we're in a parallel Earth, but I do believe that we do have certain dimensions that kind of shift in and out ever since we started playing with all these colliders and particle colliders. Firm Lab over in Illinois, and then of course the big one, that they're making that's going to look like a baby when they're finished, was the really big one. So it could be a combination of what I said, that they've been messing around with things and they're opening up these dimensions or opening up an access to it, and some of these things are coming in. Something
I
weird
often
is
wonder
going
about
on.
that too. I do
Weird
wonder
is coming
about
on.
what's that?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it does feel a little bit weird. I mean, I've been
yes.
having conversation with people, like last year seemed to fly like that. At one point, it just went, and it was super fast. And I'm like, what is going on? It didn't even feel like any of the holidays we have in the U.S. Did not feel like it at all. I don't know about anybody else. But it's weird. Something's definitely up.
Maybe it's the Mandela effect.
Well, I was the one. I mean, I think I said it on your show. I believe that the Mandela effect was caused by the first collider, when they broke. They didn't know what they were doing. They ramped it up. They created these cracks, and anybody born up to a certain point remembers cornucopia, because when timelines kind of mended themselves, went back, we got timeline A that we were really truly on, and then we got the tail end of B, and now we've been continuing on a different timeline. And in the B end, you're like, where did these cornucopia come from? So you're getting the reverse of what this is. But I think that's how the Mandela effect happened.
Whatever happened to the cornucopia in Fruit of the Loom?
I remember it.
We
I
all
had it
do.
on my underwear.
I remember asking my mom what that basket thing was.
Yeah. It used to be there, and that was the only reason why I learned when you talk about Thanksgiving in the U.S., they had a cornucopia, and I remembered it looks, that's like the Fruit of the Loom. There was the connection as a little kid. They talked about the cornucopia. They never mentioned the underwear, but you made the association because Fruit of the Loom at that time was the big thing, or whatever was available, I guess. And by the way, for the person asking, rakes run really, really fast, and they're going to outrun you. It's going to tell you that straight up.
I was going to get to that question. What's your
I'm
favorite
sorry, I just saw
Mandela
it.
effect?
Say again?
What's your favorite Mandela effect?
There's so many different ones. I mean, I kind of, I'm still bugged out by the Ford logo, believe it or not. That little Piggly Wiggly in it, I don't remember that at all. The monocle is pretty interesting. There are new ones that pop up all the time. I actually saw the movie with, I forgot his name, Shazam or whatever it was before.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot.
With Sinbad.
Sinbad. I remember seeing that. I saw that. I know the Bernstein Bears versus Berenstain Bears, because we used to make fun of my science teacher was Mr. Bernstein. They said, "Oh, there's a book about you," and he would go along. A great guy. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of them. There's some new ones that are popping up left and right now, and that's what I think. I think what happens is,
sorry, we got 20 seconds. Let's
Sure.
continue that conversation, because I love the Mandela effect. I do. It just
yeah.
it weirds me out. Absolutely weirds me out. Brian Bowden is here. He's from a podcast, YouTube channel called Third Eye Live. He is all over the map when it comes to these great topics that we talk about, and he continues after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we're clear, buddy.
Sure.
That's good stuff.
It is. I'm trying to remember some of the new stuff that's coming out, but you know what? What's crazy is in this day and age, everybody's always trying to one up the next thing. You know? Yeah, Curious George did have a tail, Erica. That's another one.
Of course he did. He's a monkey.
Of course he is. I remember the braces. Yeah, I'm looking at all these.
I saw a Mandela effect the other day, and I meant to write it down, and of course I did not. Now I can't remember what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, hey, Hillbilly, good to see you. There was something the other day that was a Mandela effect, and I think I like reposted it. After I do what I need to do, and I wake up in the morning and do my thing, I sit there for a little bit, catch up on social. I don't email. I still have about 500,000 emails I haven't checked. Just message me, people. But there's some new ones that are popping up left and right now. Maybe we switch timelines. Are you really Dave Scott? Or are you AI?
Oh, I wish I was, because then maybe it would only give me one job.
Yeah, I'd like to clone myself and definitely just like you hang out here and deal with their, you know what? All right, no problem. Two female doggos wear bras above. They shop at Sephora. That's how you can find them. You know what? Matthew up there says he has several personal Mandelas. That's where it gets really, really weird.
Well, hold that thought. Let's
Yeah. No. I'm gonna shut up, but
shush, man. Shush.
it fades.
Deborah Rooney's a couple of drinks in. Do female dog men wear bras or bows in their hair? How do you tell the difference?
You want me to give you the 16 candles answer? I can't do it because we're open mic. You remember the movie 16 Candles?
I never watched it because I never liked Molly Ringwald.
Oh my God, it is a great scene.
I've never watched a Kevin Bacon movie. Well, that's a lot. What was that one? That one where they he was in college and they were testing themselves with near-death experiences. Flatliners.
Yeah, I forgot that one, but his brother-in-law lives in my old neighborhood, and he played like something like Hans the Terrorist or something like that. So I remember taking a picture of him and go, does anybody else care that we have a major terrorist that's dropping their kid off at the local school?
Oh, goodness.
Only 2 people got it.
Got about a minute to go here, brother.
No problem. But basically, this guy has the prom queen. He calls his 2 buddies. Come on, take pictures. And they're like arguing, oh, black and white, whatever. And one of them said, female extraterrestrial? How do you know it's a female? Well, it's easy. It has 3 tits. Hopefully, I didn't go over the air. But whatever.
All right.
Okay.
Big thank you tonight to Pam, Mel, Debaruni, Ben for the super chats, T-Bone with the membership gift of 10. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, Brian.
I know you can.
You know what we don't have?
Plethora of great designs.
We do not have ugly swag.
No, you don't. You don't have, any of my designs up there, but yeah, there's no ugly swag.
You're way too handsome. Way too handsome. Here we go, buddy.
I already wear great shirts, so.
We are into the second half of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears. Wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, here's Brian Bowden. He's a researcher, he's a podcaster, he's a YouTuber. He is a man of many experiences of the weird and strange, and we're loving it. With him being here, we're talking about the Mandela effect and some of the strange ones out there. You know what one still gets me? One of my favorites, Brian.
Yep.
We were always taught playing sports, especially boxing, no kidney punches. Kidney punches are illegal because the kidneys used to be exposed. Now, human kidneys are under the rib cage.
I'm going to throw a different one with you. Same thing. The heart used to be in the center. It's not there. It's over to the side. Things are different.
The body has changed. The body has changed.
Has the body changed, or have we moved into something that, like someone said before, is a different dimension? I mean, the possibility is real. Matter of fact, something that I was reading recently, I forgot what day it is. I don't think they actually published the date. Here's where we're going to get to the even more weird thing. Did you know that they're talking about a moment in August of 2026 where gravity will cease to exist for 7 seconds? And they're estimating 60 million plus people dying because of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
When is this supposed to happen?
This August. I'll try to find the date for you. But apparently, NASA knows about it, or the government knows about it. There's a plan or contingency, hence why a lot of people were building bunkers. But anything not tied down or weighted down is going to rise meters in the air, 25 meters in the air. So if you're outdoors, that's a pretty significant height, and for 7 seconds, and then it's going to come crashing down to Earth.
Okay, I've pulled it up here.
2 black holes, or I think something like that. Yep, go look at that.
Okay, social media posts and conspiracy threads assert that on August 12th of this year, the world will lose gravity for 7 seconds, and that NASA secretly knows about it. Now, gravity cannot just shut off for everyone on Earth for a few seconds. There is no known physical mechanism that would make that happen suddenly or temporarily. Gravity comes from the mass of Earth and the way space-time is shaped around it, as described by Einstein's theory of general relativity. And nothing in current physics predicts a spontaneous disappearance of gravity. So what is going to happen? Well, there are real astronomical events in August. For example, the Perseid meteor shower peaks around mid-August each year, which is beautiful natural phenomena. Why this rumor exists? Well, these kinds of posts tend to spread because they sound dramatic and mysterious, and social media algorithms amplify sensational content, but they are not backed by science. If something unusual like a change in Earth's gravity were predicted by scientists, it would be covered widely by reputable space agencies and the scientific press. Your thoughts?
I don't think it would be covered at all. To be honest, yeah, it's 75 feet, 25 meters, but I don't think they would cover it at all. People would go in an outright panic. And if individuals went into bunkers for whatever reason, I'm just saying, I think they're fine with that taking place. I forgot the name of the record. There's something really weird. They give you estimates of who's going to be the population. I forgot the name of that. It came out. It was leaked too, and the world significantly loses a lot of people in the same year, 2026. They just, like the U.S., every country. I would recommend at the Spaced Out Radio swag store that you start selling Spaced Out Radio gravity belts for a small fee, $25 or whatever it is, so people can weigh themselves down and watch Spaced Out Radio for those 7 seconds. But I don't believe they would tell you that something like this was coming. It would just create too much of a panic.
Very interesting, man.
Yeah.
Very interesting topic indeed. My goodness. This is why I love bringing you on this show, because you always come up with something so random about things.
It's just, I'm just like, you're going to see people tie themselves down. It's going to be, it's going to be terrible if it actually does happen. And the reason why they're talking about it is, if you have two black holes that are converging and suck up, energy, it will mess with gravitational fields. So they're really off, and there is data to confirm that kind of outcome. I don't think Einstein was. I used to love Einstein, and then I discovered the real guy I don't pay attention to was Tesla. Einstein, not so much, but I just think it's incredible. You got to set your alarm clock for like whatever time it is and like tie everything down. Instantaneous weightlessness. Instantaneous. Yeah. That means your car, your truck, besides your kids. Do you know what would happen if, I don't know, my car or truck went 100 feet in the air and then instantaneously dropped back down? How much damage? How do you even weigh it down? Like, how do you even tether it to the ground at that point? It's going to be like that vomit comet. What did they call it? The vomit comet. When people experience weightlessness. Yeah, someone wrote something about a 48-hour show, but we'll find out. We'll find out on, what is it? You said the 12th? 8/12?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun. We should have a party that day. You should do that. That's what you should do.
Well, it says here, as I typed into Chat GPT, what would happen if Earth lost gravity for 7 seconds? And it says here, everything that was being held down by gravity would suddenly move in a straight line at its current sideways speed. So you wouldn't go up, you'd actually go against a wall because the Earth is spinning, right? Because the Earth is rotating, people at the equator are already moving about 400 and make that 1,000 miles per hour sideways. Gravity keeps us pinned to the ground as the planet curves beneath us. Without gravity, people, cars, furniture, rocks all lift off the ground. At the equator, you would drift hundreds of meters upwards in those 7 seconds. Near the poles, the effect is smaller, less rotational speed, but you'd still float. Now, this is where it gets dangerous. oceans and lakes.
Yeah.
Huge sheets of water would lift and spray outward. When gravity returned, that water would crash back down as tsunamis and massive floods around coastlines. The atmosphere would expand upward briefly. Most of it would fall back when gravity returned, but violent wind bursts, shock waves, debris blasting around would basically hit everywhere. Okay. Vehicles and planes, well, cars lose traction and slide off roads while lifting. Trains would derail. Airplanes and helicopters, which normally fly by pushing air that gravity pulls them through, would suddenly be in true zero G. Pilots would have almost no control. Now, buildings, this is where, because most of us will be in a building if this happens. Anything not bolted down becomes a projectile. People will slam into ceilings. Elevators, stairs, and tall atriums will become extremely dangerous. After 7 seconds of gravity comes back, well, everything that drifted falls back down to Earth. People and objects drop hundreds of meters at near free fall speed. Impacts would be catastrophic, like falling off a skyscraper. Collapsing infrastructure, power failures, fires, and flooding would follow. Coastlines would take the worst hits from water rushing back. Yeah. But the planet itself would still be here, so that's a good thing.
It would just see all that stuff on your shelf is going to be a projectile.
Right?
So you have until the 12th of August to put netting over everything you have, including your kids and your cats and your dog. That would be weird.
Let's get to some audience questions here.
Sure.
All right. Let's start off here with Paul. Your thoughts on the Bradshaw Ranch and all they capture investigating?
I'm not really paying attention to it. I'm not fully versed at the Bradshaw Ranch. We have a lot of places on Earth that are like the Bradshaw Ranch and Skinwalker. There are just certain areas that are prone to high magnetic fields, anomalies, strange, the ley line type of energy vortexes, and things are drawn to them. It's just like going into a main, a commuter station or an airport or whatever it is. And of course, you're going to find the strangeness there. In general, a lot of people will say it's stuff is photoshopped or your AI. Now it's AI. One time Photoshop, now it's artificial intelligence. So, I don't know. I tend to believe that there are things that are taking place and people's experiences are more believable than some of the stuff you capture on audio and video in general. But, if you ask a slew of people and the majority of them are saying, the same thing happened or some weird stuff that's happening on the ranch, I would tend to believe that is a place of high strangeness, and it's good for you. Open it up to everybody and make it into a bed and breakfast, and then everybody else can have all the craziness happen, and you get paid for it.
All right, let's move on to another question here.
Sure.
Go to Walter. Brian, how fast can these rake creatures move? Can you outrun them?
They move extremely fast. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say no on most of them. You would need an extreme head start on all these cryptids. Some of it, like the Dogman can leap 60 feet without even thinking about it. And by the time you thought of running and got 60 feet, they'd already be there waiting for you, having a smoke. took you this long. They're really, really incredibly fast and agile. You just have to figure out ways to slow them down. I don't think you can outrun them. So if you're going to go on investigation, take somebody that doesn't run as fast as you.
All right, let's get another question in.
Sure.
Go to Ryan. If the collective consciousness is up, does that mean manifestations of cryptids will rise? Good question.
That is a great question. I do believe that. I believe your consciousness when you think of things and when you project that into the universe, you have the ability to create, things. When you say it, you have the ability to create. I think we said it before. When the magician, I believe it was Harry Houdini who did it, he said abracadabra, which is Aramaic for what I say I create. And, when you speak, you are speaking things into the universe, whether they be good or bad, and that's what gets manifested. So if a bunch of you are coming together and wishing something negative or wishing for a cryptid experience or wishing something good or whatever it is, you have a higher probability of making that come true. So if your manifestation, you want to manifest more cryptids, I think you'll have more cryptids in your area. They'll just start popping up. You're giving them an open invite.
Maybe there's some sort of special gateway that's already open.
Very well could be. I remember Rosemary Ellen Guiley, when she was doing her, I forgot what the book was. She was autographing the book. I think it was about the jinn. Said, be careful what you wish for. And I've tried to explain this, and it's very hard to do when you're having a really bad day and you're getting hammered and, SH on all the time, and hard to remain positive. But if you can flip it and start remaining positive, no matter, it's going to stop. It's going to stop the next day, boom, and keep remaining positive. What you think and what you say and do will come back to you. So if you're positive, you will get positive things happening for you. If you're negative, it just breeds negativity. It's like that one person, like they always win this, they're always winning every bet they make because they're positive about it. I'm going to win this. I'm winning this. I've won this. Speak and say things and do things in your mind as if you've done it and you've conquered it. I've done the best job ever. I'm the luckiest person you'll ever meet. And luck isn't only about money. It could be about your life being saved, or a moment where, you're thankful that you just moved out of the way before, one of these cars crashed into you. So I think the consciousness thing is great because I'm all about the consciousness and, tapping into it.
Let's move to another question, Brian.
Sure.
With multiple weirdness and things everywhere lately, could it be we've already answered that question. I apologize. Let's go to T-Bone here. Brian, Dr. Gary Nolan declined 48 Hours TV show to debate Mick West. How about you?
You want me to debate anybody? Just get me on the show. I'll debate them. I've been having a debate with someone from MUFON, a friend of mine, Mark D'Antonio, constantly. I've been studying different markers in regards to earth changes and earthquakes, and there are certain things that over time, if you look at certain areas, look up earthquake markers, and you'll see CE5s, you'll see human resonance, you'll see there's certain blips on the human resonance, and it's just a minuscule blip in a certain area around the 25th megahertz zone, and within usually within 48 hours, it could be longer. I was off by 24 the last time. There is a significant earthquake. Okay. The last time, I've been watching Dutch Sensei and a bunch of things. He's really great at these things. And Mark is like, you think you're an oracle and you're using fear porn. No, I'm just posting on my page. I said major earthquake inbound. I was off by 24 hours, but we had major earthquakes. You know, if I was right 100% of the time about everything, you know, I'd be playing the lottery and I would be on vacation with a couple of supermodels, whatever. But when you start saying, where's your science? Where's the data? Where's this? This goes back to what we started with. Traditional science will have nothing to do with what other people are finding out as markers because no one's getting paid for it. There's no narrative for it. They're not pushing an agenda. And how dare you conduct science, which is questioning and observation? You're not a PhD. These people are just ridiculous in that realm. There are certain markers that are out there, and when these markers start to pop, the end result is usually a earthquake. So the potential to predict earthquakes is there. So if someone wants to debate about something, let's go. I'll debate about it. I don't trust the science at all. And I studied it. And I came up with things that like just are total contrary to what they've been preaching and promoting. And I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble here, but one of the things is there is no global warming. It's an Earth cycle. And the narrative behind the global warming is totally different than what it should be. And I don't want to get you in trouble, so shut up here. But it's an Earth cycle. They happen every 26,000, 27,000 years. And where we are, the Earth, you know, rotates and you know, everything changes.
Getting back to monsters, 2 minutes to go.
Sure.
What do you see happening in 2026? Do you see any different types of monsters coming into play here that maybe we've never seen before or publicly haven't really heard of?
I think we're gonna start seeing strange hybridization of animals, which are things that have escaped genetic laboratories. And I think you're going to start seeing animals that people thought were extinct. I think we're going to have at least 2 different animals that people thought were extinct that they'll be visual proof and physical proof that they're not extinct at all. And that will question people like, well, why would they say it was extinct? One of which I saw this video, it was a woolly mammoth. I saw it this year sometime, 2025. A woolly mammoth. Matter of fact, there's lots of talk within indigenous tribes and in history, especially with the French and Indian War, where the French have arrived and they saw indigenous and there were woolly mammoths there when they should have long been gone. So that's what I think. I think you're going to get those like, you know, man, bear, pig, you know, from South Park, and like some really weird animals coming out that look like a little bit humanish, but a kind of like a pig or a parrot, like stuff that used to wash up off of the point of Montauk.
Right.
That's where.
Brian Bowden, everybody, go find his podcast on YouTube, Third Eye Live. You can see his dyed beard there. Robin Haynes and the Swamp Dweller coming up next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
I had to. I had to.
Dude, I'm not afraid to dye this beard.
Oh man,
I
I'm gonna
dye
dye.
it.
You know what? Next time I have you on, I'm gonna dye mine.
You know what? Next time I'm on, I'm just only gonna dye half of it.
All right.
I'm just gonna have that we did a show once, and there was like we were talking about like we should dye the beard, and literally I got contacted by 12 women that were watching the show. They said, "Don't you dare touch that beard."
Nope.
They like the salt and pepper, so like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I'm down with OPP.
All right, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you.
You got it. I appreciate you too. Hey, whoa. Have a great night, guys.
You too, brother. Take care.
Bye.
Brian Bowden, everybody. We love him around here. Be right back. right. What a great show so far. Great show. Robin Haynes is here. Let's bring her in. Hi, Robin.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, too.
We're going to bring you on here in a minute here. Swamp Dweller will be just over 5 minutes,
Okay.
and then we're good. Smoky Mountain Wanderer, how are you? Good to see you. Tomorrow night, Dietlov Pass, everybody.
Oh, nice.
Mariska is going to join us from dietlovpass.com. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Very good. Very, very good. All right, we got 20 seconds. Thank you to Mel WD40, Deborah Rooney ×2, Pam and Ben for the super chat, and T-Bone gifting 10 memberships to our YouTube channel. Thank you, T-Bone. Greatly appreciate that. And here we go, everybody. We are into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is Gardyloo. Gardyloo is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam says the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. To start this story off and give a little insight about me, I am an 18-year-old female who grew up in Michigan and have lived in the country for as long as I can remember. And for the heads up, this is a long story, so please bear with me. Now, back to the story. On one particular hot summer weekend, me and a couple of friends, including my boyfriend, let's call him Tony, and my older brother, let's call him Brad, decided we were going to go camping for the weekend, since it was such a nice warm week. Tony's parents had owned a cabin out in Ludington, surrounded by a huge wooded area, with a personal lake and no neighbors for at least 4 miles. But being stupid teenagers, we didn't really think about that. All we were ready for was to party, as any normal teen would. Well, after being there for 2 hours or so, our fun had started. Tony's friends had bought tons of alcohol and weed to last us for the weekend, so we wouldn't be bored since we had no service and only movies to watch. After it got around 12 a.m. and was pitch black, we had a huge bonfire going. It was a total of 6 people, including me and Tony. As we walked and laughed about our upcoming events in our lives, we were so distracted that we didn't notice that my brother had literally frozen his eyes on the section of the woods near us. Mind you, we were all intoxicated and high at the time. Eventually, our talking ceased when realizing Tony and his friend and my brother had an emotionless expression. "Hey, dude, you all right?" he asked Brad. Silence. Brad didn't reply or even make any movements that would indicate he heard him. After that, I started to get scared as well as the other 2 girls there. It took a lot for my brother to act that way. Eventually, I was the first to catch on that he was excessively staring into a certain spot in the woods. I turned my head and followed his gaze the best I could. And when I finally caught on to what he was staring at, my heart dropped. There,
Right there in front of us was, at first look, a dog. At least that's what I thought. It was some person dog that wandered off. Somebody's pet must have gotten out, right? But then my brain kicked in and I realized there weren't neighbors for miles. So how could there be a dog? My mind started to race while Tony still tried to get Brad to speak or even move. In one motion, this thing stood up tall. And when I say tall, I mean freaking gigantic. It had to be at least 6 foot tall. Everyone saw it then. How could you not? The other 2 girls and the other boys with us gasped as they finally grasped while my brother was still as a stick. No one moved for what felt like hours. Tony was the first to talk. No tail, he mumbled. No one heard what he said but Brad, and I swear to you, when I say this, his eyes widened as big as pan saucers. That freaked me out. Immediately. What did you say? One of the girls asked. It has no freaking tail, he hissed at her. My heartbeat stopped. He was right. There was no tail on this thing. Suddenly, my clouded alcohol mind cleared up in a fraction of a second when I really realized what we were seeing, what this thing was. We've heard so many stories about them as children. Now I understood why my brother was basically shitting his pants. This thing was a skinwalker. My instincts kicked in right then and there, and before I could nope the heck out of there, the thing let out a horrible stench, like a rotting meat, before screaming some inhuman-like scream. The sound was enough to scare the heck out of everyone. My brother was the first up and out of his chair and started shouting native words to the creature. I told everyone to get the heck inside. No one questioned me when they saw just how deadly serious I was. Especially Tony. He's never seen me so scared, so he knew it was a bad situation. We all hightailed it into the cabin, with my brother in tow, still shouting native words at the creature, which seemed to keep it at bay while it gave us enough time to get inside. He slammed and locked the door before turning off all the lights and grabbing special ash from the kitchen counters, and started throwing them at every window and door while chanting. Of course, he had everyone freaked out and basically in tears at that moment. After he was done, no one said a word for a long time. All of us were kind of in shock. He grabbed our dad's pistol and posted by him for many hours. Everyone was entirely done, so no one said a word at all. We must have fallen asleep eventually because I woke up to my brother packing all our stuff into 2 cars early in the morning. I understood why. We have a native family. We knew what we were dealing with and we knew it would come back and maybe not alone. Before we left, I did a blessing on the cabin and spoke a few calming words to the still very freaked out girls. We left as soon as we could. To this day, we still haven't explained exactly to our friends what happened that night, and they never bothered to ask us again.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to choose from each and every time. So make sure you do. And from the swamp, we head to the forest where Robin Haynes is searching for Sasquatch, Dogman, and every cryptid in between.
Robin Haynes walks soft where the tall trees sway. She hears Bigfoot whisper what the wind won't say. Through the veil of the forest where the wild man plays, the Bigfoot psychic talks to Sasquatch every day. Only on Spaced Out Radio's Cryptid Q&A.
Robin Haynes, it's good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio for 2026. How are you tonight?
I am good. Hoping 2026 is our best year yet. Looking forward to it. Lots of positive things coming in the future. So
it's an interesting time right now because so many people are reporting on so many different cryptids that are out there right now. Never mind Bigfoot and Dogman. What are you hearing out on the road?
it is a very active time. You know, a lot of people think they get really slowed down in the wintertime, and in some areas they do just because of the weather. But you have to understand right now, and I talk about this every week. I know people get sick of hearing it, but we are in the middle of this massive frequency shift. The higher that frequency goes, the more active people they are going to get. They love it. They live on it. They live for it. They're a high frequency interdimensional being that can go between flesh and blood in spirit form as wanted to. And the higher the frequency gets, the more active they are. They're communicating more with people. They are reaching out to people more than they ever have before. I mean, literally.
Frequency.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Well, people, when they go into a higher frequency, they're able to communicate with these things. That's how you mind speak. You have to be in a higher frequency to be able to do the mind speak. The only way that you're not is if they are trying to yell at you to get away and some might hear it in their mind. But traditionally, the only way to get to mind speak, the only way to get into the collective consciousness, which is how you have contact with them, is to get a higher frequency. Your body is a third dimensional body that is basically useless. The only thing that it's good for is housing your consciousness, your soul, your frequency, and your energy. Your mind is third dimensional. The only thing that's any good for is to be able to manifest. The people that can't comprehend that these things exist are because they stay in that third dimension. Your third dimensional brain is like a box, and it only allows certain things in it. And when you get in the higher frequency, that's where you find the acceptance. That's where you find a stronger love for these things and more compassion. Everything is enhanced emotionally. So in that higher frequency, that's where you get the mind speak. That's where you get the collective consciousness, all of which will link you to them. That's how you get a good relationship with them, not an accidental sighting, not because you pissed them off, but an actual relationship with them is all done through the collective consciousness. And that goes across the board for any cryptid, any alien, any elementals, anything dimensional. You've got to have that higher frequency. You get people that will show you a picture, and certain people will look at it and say it's pareidolia, there's nothing in it. And sometimes they are right. But a lot of the times, people that are in a higher frequency look through eyes through the higher frequency, which is the paranormal spectrum, and they can see it. That's why some people can see things in pictures that others can't. If you are lower frequency and you're stuck in that third dimension, you're going to miss a lot. You're going to miss the things moving through the trees. You're going to miss the energy signatures. You're going to miss seeing, a shimmer of them in a photograph or even in real life. In that higher frequency, it changes your vision. That's how you get to see all of it. It opens up a whole new world. It's out there. You just can't get to it in a third dimension. So with this frequency shift that we've got going on, it's not only triggering people and waking them up, it's getting people into, they may not be in the fifth dimension, but they're moving into the fourth, which gives them the opportunity to connect. And the cryptids will take advantage of that in a good way and try to make a connection. You've got, different groups. You've got the ones that just hate people, want to be left alone because we've screwed them over so much. And then you have the other groups that are curious about us and actually want that contact. So right now, certainly with my clients, I would say 99.999% of them are getting the mind speak. They're getting the activity because they've gone into they've done the work and they've gone into that higher frequency. And there's literally millions of people that are doing that. And that's why they're getting more activity than they normally are.
Can all cryptids mind speak?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Every single one of them. You've got different clans of the Sasquatch where if that clan leader will not let them use a lot of the paranormal abilities, they are very limited. Mind speak, they do across the board. That's just a given. That comes as natural to them as breathing. But certain groups, that leader of the clan may determine that, okay, they're not going to be allowed to use all the paranormal stuff. And if they don't teach the children that they have it, the kids don't know they have it. It's like we're all telepathic. But in the third dimension, we've been told forever that we're not. So if our parents didn't think we were telepathic, they didn't teach us that we were. It's the same thing with them. Now, then you have other clans that use all those paranormal abilities, which means their frequency is even higher. They all are high frequency, but theirs are even higher than the ones that don't use it. They're the ones that are using the portals. They're the ones that are doing all the cool tricks and the cloaking and everything else. And there's been some, and I've talked to some of them that at one point in time didn't know they could do these things. They had to become adults and move in, and move out and get with other clans to see that they were doing it. And they were like, oh, okay. Didn't know we could. If their parents don't teach them, they don't know they can. But they all mind speak. All of it. Cryptids across the board, aliens across the board, elementals, dimensionals, everything paranormal mind speaks.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Never knew that. Outside of Bigfoot and Dogman, which creatures are really starting to pick up in sightings right now?
Cat people. I think the cat people have really picked up quite a bit. I've noticed a few more people, see the goat man, but not a lot. They are a little bit more aloft as far as wanting to stay away. I always feel bad for them because they just really seem like they're so sad. I've only talked to one that really was, pretty funny and a little bit more outgoing. I think I would say the cat people, they seem to be coming out more than some of the other ones. You've got your dogman, you've got the werewolves. They seem to be pretty, I think the werewolves are coming out more. But I think predominantly after Sasquatch and Dogman, I would say definitely the cat people. I know elementals right now are loud and proud. They're all over the place. The little people, they are just everywhere. Once your frequency comes up, you're going to notice things darting across the floor in your house, and you don't know what it is. And it's like, I know I saw something dart across the floor out of the corner of my eye. Well, you did. Your frequency is coming up, which means you start looking through the paranormal spectrum with your eyes so that you can see these things and experience them. And people would be amazed if they knew how many of these little people are actually in their houses, or the elementals or the dimensionals. Most of them are pretty decent, not all of them. Like, just like with our people, there's good and bad, but it changes your world. But I do think I've noticed people that I've talked to having more elementals and dimensionals than they have in a while. They've always been pretty prominent, but I think more so now than ever.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Deb is asking, have you ever heard of the blue cat lady? Ronnie Dawson speaks of fondly of her.
No, I'm not familiar with Ronnie Dawson. I've heard, I've not heard a lot about the blue cat lady. I've heard it before, but as far as contact with it, no, I haven't had contact with it. And I haven't heard a lot.
It's a song, and she caught me on a silly question. I don't like when that happens.
Yeah, I've heard the term, but I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is. I certainly have never talked to anything like that. If it's a song, that would be why.
Probably why. I got caught on that one. All right. Let's move on. And this is why sometimes I don't like taking audience questions.
Yeah.
We're live and I don't pre-screen them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, don't know anything about that one. I've never even heard the person's name. So
let's move over to a lot of the more mysterious creatures. I asked Brian Bowden this, and I'm going to ask you this same question. A lot more people are claiming to have werewolf sightings. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, we have one that's across the driveway, and he's been here as long as I've been in this house, which has been almost 9 years. He's as nice as can be. He claims he's from a government program that he was released, and now it's been probably 14 years since he was released. I think that they're coming more out of the woodwork. I don't think they're these terrible things everybody needs to be fearful of. But I think, again, the frequencies are up. With the frequencies up, these things are more active. They are more inclined to have contact with us. If you're a low frequency person, and some people know this already, a lot of people don't, they do not enjoy being around a low frequency person. Okay. It makes them get headaches. It makes them nauseated. They don't feel well. It's draining on them. Just like if, like Dave, you're a high frequency person, you have a good frequency. If you were to be around somebody that's a low frequency person, it would drive that person crazy because you can't have a high frequency person with a low frequency because the high frequency overtakes it. So for that low frequency person, they're miserable. And that's why they're mean to you. And you don't know why they're being mean to you because you don't know this person. You haven't done anything to them. They strike out. There's a lag time between when your body reads that frequency and then it goes to the brain. And because the brain is third dimensional, the brain just looks at it as being angry. And that's why they're mean to you. And so with people's frequency going up, all of these things are high frequency being, which means it's very inviting for them to want the contact with us now. High frequency not only means purity, it means kindness, compassion. Doesn't mean you're perfect. We were never meant to be perfect. We're perfect in our imperfections. But it does mean that you have a good heart, meaning you're not wishing harm on anybody. You don't hurt animals. You don't hurt children. You don't hurt other people. You aren't saying hurtful things to somebody to bring them down all the time. You know, you want people to succeed. You're trying your best to be kind. None of us are perfect. All we can do is try our best. But those are things that are in a high frequency being. And if you are high frequency, all these things want to draw off of that energy and off that frequency. And I think that's why people are getting more and more contact now. And I think that's why they're coming out more with this frequency shift, which will be 3 years that it's been going on, March 14th. It's made a big difference and things are coming out more than ever because it's triggered people. And not everybody, unfortunately, but a lot of people's frequency has gone up. That's a safety zone for these things. They feel comfortable. They feel relaxed because that's a good person. They aren't as afraid. And I think that just encourages the contact.
Is it safe to make contact?
If you know what you're doing, yeah. Like, I'm a big believer that if you're going to do this stuff and you're going to be involved in it, then you read energy signatures because anybody can come up to you and say they're anything under the sun. Energy doesn't lie. Energy signatures cannot be faked. They are the truth. And there's no way to lie about them. You know, I mean, the devil can come up and tell you that he's an angel. And if you don't know how to read the energy signature, you're going to believe him and everything's going to be great. But if you know how to read the energies, then you're going to know it's still the devil no matter what he presents himself to be. So as far as that goes, I think it's safe to have contact. If you do your due diligence, learn how to do it the safe way and the correct way, I think that you can have open communication with these things and be relatively safe. But you have to do your due diligence. You've got to learn how to read the energy signatures. You need to learn about their culture. You know, you would not go and do anything. You wouldn't go jumping out of a plane skydiving without taking the training and knowing what you're supposed to do. This isn't any different. And these are things that not only because of their size and their strength, but the paranormal abilities can do serious damage. You know, the good ones have no desire to do damage. Will they to protect themselves and their families? Absolutely. But so would we. And there is good and bad in everything. You know, we have bad people, we have murderers, pedophiles, rapists, whatever. So do they. So that's why, you know, you can have a good relationship with them. I feel safer with them than I do humans. Any day of the week. I would rather be out in the woods with 100 of them that I don't know than 100 humans that I don't know. But you have to, and I don't think anybody's perfect at it. I'm certainly not an expert. But I think you can do it with a certain amount of safety if you do the due diligence and learn about what you're doing.
I think that's great advice. I do.
Thank you.
You know, I still don't think that everybody should try and communicate with them.
No. There's people that, you know, I absolutely would not help to learn.
Hold that thought. Robin Haynes of the Cryptid Q&A continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Robin, we're clear.
Yeah, there's people out there that they present themselves as wanting to know all this stuff, but they internally they want it for the wrong reasons. And so I don't think it's for everybody. And I think that there's people out there that want that initial excitement of having it, but they don't want to know all the background. They don't want to know the history. They don't want to know the culture. And you've got, if you're going to, be dealing with this stuff, you've got to know the background. Their ways are different than ours. And you just can't go in and say, hey, this is a fluke. I'm going to do this for fun on a Saturday night because I got nothing else to do. You can get seriously injured. They can get seriously injured. They have laws. We have laws. And it's just, if you're going to do it, like everything else, you learn what you're going to do. You learn, and that doesn't guarantee you that everything's going to be okay. But there's nothing in this life that guarantees you that everything's going to be okay. So you minimize anything that could become a problem by learning. There's nothing that you will ever do in this world that you don't have to learn how to do first. This is no different.
We got about 3.5 minutes, my dear.
Not a problem.
So much fun.
Yeah, it is. So like I said, I'm hoping for 26 to be an awesome year for not only us, but the cryptids, for sure. Hopefully people will give them a little bit of peace of mind and not harass them quite as much, for sure. They have every bit as right to be here as we do. I know there's a lot of people that don't agree with that, but the reality of it is we share a planet with this stuff. We share a planet with a lot of the aliens too, whether people are aware they're there or not. And it's a matter of going into the collective consciousness under the law of Ra, which is the law of one, and sharing the space, working together to make it better instead of the disaster that we've created.
It's kind of fun, isn't it?
It is. And they're amazing. Like I love talking with them and talking to them. They're hysterically funny, and they're very loving and giving. They really can. I mean, there's some that just want to be left alone because they've been burned so bad by us, but the good ones, there's nothing better. And it's the purest love as far as compassion and kindness. It's because it's high frequency. That higher frequency is where it's at.
Two minutes, Robin.
All righty. Sounds good.
The real Lucifer Morningstar. Welcome to SOR Chat. Mr. Melted, how you doing?
I'm surprised how many of the cat people are out and about. People are seeing them all over the place.
We'll get into that when we come back.
So did your family have a good holiday, Dave?
It was quiet, a little too quiet for me. It was nice, but quiet.
Yeah.
Got about a minute to go. We didn't do much. Didn't go out. Didn't do anything. Just had Christmas. We spent just us three. Our daughters were on the coast. New Year's was the same. So it was just, I don't like it when it's that quiet, but I don't like doing anything, and I don't like people either. So
Yeah.
Conundrum.
Yeah, it was quiet for me. Like I just relaxed through Christmas, and then I go to a friend of mine's house with his family, and all the activities for that were on the weekend. They all got together Christmas Day for breakfast, and I was going to do that. And I thought, no, I don't even feel like doing that. So I just relaxed all day. Dad didn't have to work, which was nice. And then went and spent the weekend with them and met with everybody, and that was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
We
they're
got about-
wonderful people.
We got about 10 seconds here. Just bear with me. Thank you to our super chatters, Brian, Amy, Deb times 2, T-Bone with the memberships, Ben and Pam. Thank you for the love. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in as we got Robin Haynes and the Cryptid Q&A continuing here momentarily. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Robin Haynes, the Cryptid Q&A, continuing on here. Robin, thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We're going to kick things off with a question.
Okay.
Is there a technological damping effect over the planet Earth that was put in place by the negative aliens, ETs, and humans to make it more difficult for us to use our paranormal abilities?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I can't give you a definitive yes or no. I have not heard that that's happened. However, that doesn't mean that it has not. To my knowledge, any contacts that I have galactically, anything that the aliens have told me or anything like that, I have not personally heard that. Now, if somebody else has heard it, I'm not going to say that they're wrong, but that is not anything that I have ever been told about at all or heard about.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Earlier, we were talking about these cat people, alien things. What do they look like?
The ones that, I have a picture of one that was over right off the front of my yard. Like, I live on a dirt road, and you cross the road, and there's nothing but a 200-acre pine tree farm. And she was standing over there. That particular one was roughly 7 foot tall. She looked like a hairless cat. There was no hair on her whatsoever. Now, some of my clients have talked about the ones that do have hair. This, guys, is just an opinion because we don't have any DNA samples from cat people. This is an observance that I've had from the ones that I have seen. It depends what cat they're crossed with. We have Lyrans, that look like a lion type feline. But what I've noticed in the different ones that I have seen, it literally depends on what kind of cat they're crossed with. I think they're going to come back like a lot of the other things if we were to have DNA. Where like with the Sasquatch, we know they're a human hybrid. And the dad's side, there's nothing scientifically that they can match it with. When I've asked the Sasquatch, they say they're star people or children of God, which are God created the heavens and the earth. So, it would be the same thing. I think what they would come back is for the cat. And again, only an opinion, is going to be feline, human, and ET. But it depends what kind of cat they use for the cross. Whether it's been created by the government or typically it's done by the ETs. Some are born here. It's going to come down to what kind of feline they've been crossed with. Now, some of the races, I think like the Lyrians are more, that entire race is more of the wildcat, type thing. But I've seen some that have the short hair, look like a domestic short hair. I have seen a mula that was across here. She looked like a hairless cat. Absolutely. I even took a picture of her. And then I've seen, I've got clients that have seen the ones with the long hair. And I think that's where we see some variations with our dogmen as well, because different dogmen that have been through here, they all look like different breeds of dogs. And right now, where I'm at, there's so many feral dogs running through here and feral cats, it's absolute insanity. And I think it's whatever they're crossing them with. You know, like I said, I know the Lyrians look more like, you know, a lion or a cougar or that kind of thing. And that is a different race altogether. But as far as the cryptid situation, I think it depends on what feline they're crossing them with.
Are these things running on 2 legs or 4?
Primarily when I've seen them, they've been on 2, but I have seen them go down to 4. I think, you know, they walk more like a human does, just like the Sasquatch and the Dogman. Can they be on 4? Absolutely. Absolutely. And they don't have a problem going down on it at all. Now, when Amula was over there walking around, she was on 2.
Weird.
Yeah, but I have had.
Are they aggressive?
I haven't found one to be aggressive. I'll be honest with you. I've not had one that was aggressive. I'm not saying that there aren't, because I think there's good and bad and everything. I've never encountered one that was aggressive. I've never talked to one that was aggressive. Now, I have some people in Michigan that have had them on their property, and I've never seen a bunch of them at one time. That's the other weird thing. Like, they just kind of show up, and there's, you know, of course, cats are more independent and stay by themselves more. And there was some in Michigan that would go down on 4 legs, but they were primarily on 2 as well. You know, I've not seen a mula on 4 legs. Do I think she could? Absolutely. But primarily they're on 2,
Very interesting.
in my experience.
Let's go to Paramarv here. You referred to the female Lyran that you encountered as being a hairless cat. If they are hairless, what makes them look like a cat? Eyes, ears, claws?
Okay, the Lyrians, I don't think I've ever seen a Lyrian hairless. The Lyrians that I have seen looked more like lion-like or cougar-like. The one that I've seen at my house, and I'm not saying she's a Lyrian, I'm not saying she isn't. I honestly never asked her. She looked like a domestic hairless cat. I couldn't see her feet because she was standing in the weeds. I could see her hands, and her hands did look like a longer nail on them. To say it was a claw, I can't tell you it was a claw. It did look like it had a longer nail on it. You know, they were longer fingers than what you would see like on a house cat. It wasn't like the little short nubby toes. She had shoulders like would be a human, a little bit longer neck, but it looked more like a human body with the head of a cat. And she was completely hairless all over her, but yet her facial features were definitely feline. She looked just like the hairless cat. You know, and now, like I said, the Lyrians, and whether or not they call the hairless ones a Lyrian or not, I don't know. I did not ask her. I was so surprised to see her. I didn't play 20 questions. I got a picture of her as good as I could get it, and it was just a side view of her head and her shoulder. But I didn't ask a bunch of questions. I asked her name, you know, that kind of thing. But whether or not she would be considered a Lyrian, I don't know the answer to that question, because I didn't ask her what her race was called. But she was definitely a cat person. I mean, had the tail, you know, I could just see the very tip of the tail, because again, she was standing in the weeds across the road.
That is
But
so
yeah, but there wasn't one hair on her. There was not a hair anywhere on that girl's body that I could see. And she really did. My granddaughter has, she lives in Canada, and she has 2 of the hairless cats.
right.
And so I'm very familiar with what the head looks like. And you see a hairless cat, and the head looks a little bit different than a cat that has hair. And Amula definitely had the hairless cat shape, which was just kind of creepy because, you know, she's 7 foot tall. I would say easily 7 foot. And she had, you know, I could see her from the side view, definitely had that, you know, where the cats kind of had that little bit of a pointier nose. So yeah, it was pretty freaky. I mean, It was really cool to see her, but she's the only one I've ever seen that was hairless. Any of the other ones I've seen had short hair. I have not seen the long hair. I know somebody that did, but the other ones looked like a domestic short hair. But they didn't look that, as far as looks go and size, I would say 6 to 7 feet easily. They didn't look all that different. I did notice that when I have seen them, they tend to, their fingers look longer to me. I wouldn't say they're as long as ours, but they definitely are not like the short little toes that you would see on a cat.
Let's go to another question. This one from Miss DJ. What do you think about the whole missing 411 thing?
I think that we're not dealing with just one cryptid. Do I think that there are Sasquatch that have taken some? I know for a fact that they have. I'm unfortunately not able to go into that, but I know for a fact that there have been. Are there dogmen that have? Yes. They are the least of your concerns out in the woods. Really. I think you are talking more problems with open portals, with aliens, various different kinds of aliens, other cryptids. We have cryptids out there that don't even have a name for them because we don't even know what these things are. And I've said this before, the Sasquatch put them under a blanket term of Micaiah, which just means he that walks the earth that has no name. So if it's a cryptid that is really undiscovered, nobody knows what it is, that's kind of what they just call that blanket term over all of those. So there's a lot of things out there that we are very, very unaware of. You know, when you're in that third dimension, your brain doesn't accept a lot of things, and we're kind of like blissfully unaware of what's going on around us. When you get in these higher frequencies and you get in the fourth dimension, that's when you start realizing that there's a lot more things out there. And I mean, I've had stuff come through here that were cryptids that I have absolutely no flipping idea what these things are. They haven't been aggressive. They haven't tried to hurt anybody, but what they are, I have no idea. I mean, the Sasquatch we're talking about, you know, one tonight out of state, and they don't know what it is either, other than it made them nervous because they don't know what it is. So, you know, when it comes to these missing 411, it could literally be any of these things. And I don't think it's safe to say that it's all Sasquatch or it's all dogmen. Have they happened from them? Absolutely, yes. I can tell you 100% yes. But they are not the only things out there. And I think those are probably the lesser of the evils. I think those usually try to stay away from, you know, and move away. Now, obviously, there's aggressive ones and bad ones, just like with our people. You will never hear me say that they're all good or all bad. Never. But there is a lot of other things out there too.
What are some of those other things that are out there?
Well, you've got open portals out there. People that don't know how to read energy signatures aren't going to see them because they don't look like there's anything there unless you can read the energy coming off of it.
Right.
You know, or sometimes you'll see them with a little bit of a shimmer, but most people in that are a third dimensional person and their frequency isn't as high, they don't know it. They can walk right in it. There's been several cases that that's happened and people have just disappeared. You've got aliens that live on this planet. They've always lived on this planet. There's never been a time that they haven't been, whether they live in inner Earth or on the planet. Not to mention the fact you've got hybrids that unless somebody knows what they're doing, they're going to look completely human to them, even if they're not, that are dangerous. And then let's not forget, we have our own people that are, some of them that are evil. I can remember when I was a kid, I mean, I was not very old. I could ride a bike, but you know, back then parents thought it was safe for your kids to play. And I was in a wooded lot right close to my house. And I was riding my bike through it, and there was an adult man in there that came after me and chased me all the way out of the woods. I've never had a Sasquatch chase me out of the woods or anything else out of the woods. But that person did. God only knows what would have happened had he caught me. He didn't catch me because I got back on my bike and took off. So there's a lot of things that are out in those woods. And then you have where they talk about, you know, the stairs in the woods. That's a very real thing.
That one gets me.
Yeah, that's a
What
very
happens, what happens if you go up the stairs? So explain this to people first. Okay, that there's a legend out there that if you're in the middle of the forest and you see a stairway, not one that was maybe from an old house that's still standing, but just a stairway where there shouldn't be a stairway, you're never supposed to walk up with it, up those stairs.
right.
Take it away, Robin.
I have not. I've found staircases in the woods. Okay, I don't know, to be honest, if there was a house there, in the 1700s, maybe that's what it was from. I don't know. I was not dumb enough to test it. I have found other things in the woods that were not staircases that had a very, very dark energy around it, and I wouldn't go near it. Absolutely would not go near it. But there is credible evidence that suggests that these stairways, when they go up, actually do go into a portal. The staircase itself isn't what the danger is. It's what happens when you get to the top of that staircase. There was a gentleman, and I am so sorry, guys, I don't remember what state it was in, that was walking in an area. It was all these rocks, and it was a tourist attraction. And he went up to one level of this rock formation where they said, hundreds of years ago, there was a tribe of people that used to live there. He walked up there. Somebody got a picture of him because it was a tourist attraction, and he ended up in the back of somebody's photo. He's never been seen again. And they found that the area he walked in, when they took like a Geiger counter there, threw a strange energy. More than likely a portal was in there. Can they prove it? No, they're not going to be able to prove it. But these things are in the woods. They're everywhere, but they're more prominent in the woods because there's nobody living in the woods. If there's anybody sinister, one of our people hiding out in the woods, they're dangerous to anybody that comes across. But there's also ETs that have walked this planet that have never not walked this planet. Not all of them are bad. I've worked with some ETs that were very kind. But I've also been attacked by some that were really bad. I had one, I almost got killed. Ended up in the hospital. So, these things are out there, and it can be a number of any of them. But do I believe that the missing 411s are legit? Absolutely, 100%. And I think it's really sad because a lot of these people, where there's probably some of them, that through human error lost their lives or disappeared or whatever. But I do personally, in my own opinion, believe that there's a lot of paranormal issues on a lot of these 411 victims. I know one in particular that I know for a fact.
Sorry to cut you off. Is it possession?
I don't think so. I think we're talking about things that for whatever reason are taking people. Whether it's an ET or whatever. If it's a cryptid, you could have gone into their territory and gotten too close to their families. They could just be bad. I mean, like I said, there are some that are just like, we've got murderers and rapists and stuff. So do they. They're mentally unbalanced, and it just happens, and they do it. So, but I absolutely believe that the missing 411, that probably 80% of those, I would feel comfortable saying, have to do with something paranormal. I don't think all of it, but I do think there is. And I think part of the, I still believe that part of the reason that the government has such a hard time and won't acknowledge the cryptids is, number one, they've lied to us forever that the aliens don't exist, and they would have to come out and say that, yeah, they really do, because they're part of that. But also, they cannot protect us in the national parks. They just can't do it. They can protect us from certain things, but not everything. And there's a lot that go on in the parks, from wildlife that's dangerous to paranormal situations.
It really is amazing. And what is it? Is it Yellowstone that's number one on the list?
Probably.
Yellowstone? What's the other big one?
I don't know. Like I said, I was born and raised in Michigan, and this is a true story. There was a girl, my son went to college in Marquette, and there was a park like that was over by, I think, Presque Island or something like that. And this young woman, a college student, walking through the park at night by herself, they found her body completely shredded. And they were out looking for this maniac killer. And according to the Sasquatch, it was a rogue Sasquatch that did it. And he was caught and they put him to death. But regardless, this woman lost her life because of it. And I had a friend of mine that said, you know, you need to go tell the parents. And I'm like that's going to make them feel better? It's bad enough they lost their daughter, but now to tell them that this big, hairy, tall thing just shredded her? I'm not putting anybody through that. I'm not going to do it. You know, they wouldn't have known anything about Sasquatch, and that would have made it even worse. So, you know, these things happen. But what I will say is there's more evidence that there are less acts of aggression with these things and missing people than what our people do to people. There's a higher number of our humans hurting and killing and kidnapping and doing things to people than what goes on in the paranormal realm. But it still happens. It 100% still happens.
Robin, we got 15 seconds. Tell everybody where they can get a hold of you.
Sure. You can find me on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes, no middle initial. Or you can go on my website, www.paranormal-empowerment.com.
And of course, you can always find Robin here. She is here
always
every week doing this. She is a trooper. She is
I love it.
And she also hosts the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference.
Yes.
In Grand Island, Nebraska.
Yeah. I think, aren't we doing it like is it 24th and 25th? I think it is this year. Yeah, it's Friday and Saturday, and our own Dave Scott will be there, guys.
Thank you, Robin, as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Stahl. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Robin Haynes. You are just absolutely wonderful.
Well, I love you guys, and you have the best audience ever. You really do. I mean, I get messages from some of them, and they're just absolutely delightful. I enjoy it here. It's kind of like a safe place.
We love you here. We do.
Well, you have a wonderful night, my friend, and I will see you next week.
We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Take care. Robin Haynes, everybody. Hey, I want to quickly say goodnight to each and every one of you. I am smoking tired. I'm going to edit this show in the morning. I'm off tomorrow. So please, please, please have a safe night. Teddy Hadiiska, tomorrow night, the Dyatlov Pass. Let's get into it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thank you to T-Bone for donating 10 memberships. Ben, Pam, Deborah Rooney ×2, Mel WD40, Amy, and Brian. Much love to each and every one of you. See you tomorrow night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.